This woman has been pregnant for 3 years. She unexpectedly gave birth to a ball of flesh. Her husband was terrified when he saw it, so he immediately instructed the butler to throw the ball into the river. But the flesh ball wasn't harmed. Instead, it gave birth to a cute baby boy. The wife saw that he was wearing red clothes, so she named him Neza. But the newborn Neza was very mischievous. He not only bullied his two older brothers, but also urinated on his father. This drove his father crazy, until Neza's mischief crossed his father's line. Then his father punished him to kneel as a punishment. It turned out that Neza, disregarding his father's warning, wanted to insist on entering the family's forbidden area. But the more his father forbade Neza to approach, the more Neza wanted to get close. So one day, Neza snuck out at night, and he found the palace built by the emperor. Driven by curiosity, Neza put in a lot of effort. Finally, he raised the bow. Then he came to the door, and saw the sword hanging on the wall. The sword seemed to be summoned. It slowly flew towards Neza, so Neza wanted to test the power of the divine bow. He planted his right foot on the ground, pulled the bow with his left hand, gathered all his strength, and shot the sword out. The sword flew over Chentang Pass, and landed in front of a palace, right on the emperor's bedside. The emperor saw the assassination attempt, so he angrily drew his sword, and shouted for the guards to catch the assassin. At the same time, he ordered the guards to investigate the origin of the sword. At this point, the man immediately recognized the sword, and that it had always been kept in Neza's family. But what confused him was that the Shenyuan sword was the heaviest sword in the world. With their strength, it would be impossible to pull. Although they had 3 sons, the oldest was only 10 years old, and didn't have the ability to draw the bow. Not knowing what to do next, the emperor ordered the guards to uncover the truth. When the father learned of the sword's loss, he felt very troubled, because he couldn't pull the bow, and neither could anyone else in the family. Then Neza ran out from the crowd, and emphasized that it was him who shot the sword. Such a statement was hard for his father to believe. To prevent Neza from causing more trouble, the father had no choice but to lock him in the house. But the whole city couldn't find the sword, so they began to realize that it might really be Neza. At this point, the father also expressed his worries. "I can't let it be Neza. I've been preventing him from learning martial arts, because I'm afraid he'll cause trouble. If it was really Neza who shot the sword, the emperor would surely take his life." The wife agreed with the husband's opinion. The couple was very anxious, because they feared the emperor would punish them. Then the father called Neza, and asked him to shoot another arrow. But when Neza drew the bow, the father realized something was wrong. Yet the sword still flew out, and it went straight for the emperor. The emperor, who was hunting, seemed to sense it, and immediately rode off on his horse to escape. As the sword got closer and closer to him, a white fox suddenly leaped into the air, and blocked the deadly arrow for the emperor. It turned out the fox was a spirit.